Arizona, and then Bellingham in between Seattle and Vancouver. And what date is that in Bellingham, David Icke?
The 4th.
October 4th.
Speaking all day on the Sunday, yeah.
And folks better get tickets because, I mean, don't you sell out every event you have?
Well, that's been the case for a little while, yeah, because the interest is so fantastic. I mean, you know, after Phoenix and Bellingham, I'm doing Amsterdam just before them, and then I'm going to Gothenburg in Sweden, Athens, Greece, Zurich, Switzerland. I mean, the world is waking up, Alex. Hallelujah to that.
Yeah, and I don't think the globalists can set off nukes and stage new wars and get away with it. I mean, I think they, man, I tell you, this is the great crossroads that we're certainly at right now. Chris in Florida, you're on the air. Go ahead. Welcome.
Hey, Alex. Hey, David.
Hello, Chris.
I just had a question about what we see a lot lately. The elite are real obsessed and into the occult, and they've kind of been commercializing it, like with movies and with celebrities wearing, like, Kabbalah bracelets. You saw that for a while. It was a trend. There are big rituals when, like, aspects to 9/11 and Columbine and these types of things.
Yes, they mainline it, and then it's revelation of the method because, again, they're engaging in mass programming at the archetypal reptilian brain. David Icke.
That's exactly what they're doing, yeah, and other things too, because, again, it's important to stress that these people understand reality to a far greater extent than they allow the people to. You know, this is why they've destroyed ancient knowledge and destroyed ancient history and stuff like that as much as they can, so they can replace it with their fake history. So we don't know, you know, where all this has come from, and it's very much more difficult to get a fix on where we are. And they understand reality, and their rituals are designed to manipulate and program reality. That's why they do them. And people think of satanic rituals, you know, with people around a slab at an altar, and my goodness, do they go on, and some of the most famous people in the world take part in them. But there are mass rituals too, and something like a war, a Second World War, is a ritual. 9/11 is a ritual to them, and they're doing it systematically. And, you know, on one level, this reality, and then even mainstream science is understanding this now, is digital. Another reason why I think it's highly significant, this move over to digital television, personally. And it's numbers, it's mathematics. And so all this numerology and all these occult ritual codes that they use, where they do things on a certain day, and you see 33s and 9/11s, these are all coming from a level of knowledge of how you can manipulate numbers to
and let me throw this
reality.
out. We got a break here and start the next hour, so let's get Tim to call in on the new line there, Tim in Ohio. But let me throw this out. The Aztecs did it. Why do separate human cultures that don't even know each other do the same things? This is a system of control. The Romans wrote that they used the gladiatorial events where you would go like it was entertainment and watch your neighbor have his guts torn out. So a month later, when you were getting your guts torn out, your neighbor wouldn't stand up for you against the state. It's making a sport, like these cop shows, out of seeing the cops hunt us down. We're dehumanizing ourselves. So the ritual has a reason. There's a method to the madness. Is that what you're saying, David?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are crazy, but they're very clever in the way that they use the knowledge they have.
Crazy like a fox. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.com. You can get all our books, videos, and materials and support us by visiting Infowars.com, the online video bookstore, and PrisonPlanet.tv. Our guest site is DavidIcke.com. We have links to it up on Infowars.com. He's coming to the United States to speak in October. We're going to break for 1 minute, say bye-bye to stations, come back in overdrive at PrisonPlanet.tv and the Infowars.com streams. Great job to the crews. Great job to everybody else. 8-10 minutes overdrive right now. Here we go. All right, we don't have a lot of time left with David Icke, so I want to go to your phone calls. That's the whole point of us going into overdrive. Next time I have him, I've got to just share him with the callers, but we just talk about so much in the nature of reality. Who's up first here, guys, on the phone system? I'm sorry, I can't hear that caller. Can't hear you guys either. Boston.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Gary. You're on the air with David Icke. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you both. Alex, you're doing an amazing job. I really appreciate what you're doing. David, it's great to hear you on the show. really quick thing about chemtrails. We're seeing tons of them across America right now, and I went and did my research. 2 questions. One, how can we make it more public? Because the media's ignored all my requests to take a look at it. And 2, when I researched it and I dug into the patent, Hughes patent, they were going to use thorium oxide and aluminum oxide, and right now they're actually using barium oxide. Now, if they really wanted to wipe us out quickly, thorium oxide will cause men to go sterile. But they chose barium oxide.
Well, let me stop you. You say they chose. That's only one program, and I've looked at that as well. There's thousands of different programs going on, and they're spraying a whole bunch of different types of metals and oxides into the atmosphere. David Icke, the chemtrails, an attempt to poison us?
Well, I was earlier this year in Arizona, and I was sitting in a house every morning watching the sky. I think it was coming up from an Arizona airbase. The sky being crisscrossed every day until the blue sky had disappeared, and it was just all the chemtrails joined together to make a cloudy day. It was extraordinary. It happened day after day after day after day. I'll tell you what my information is, and that's that among all the other stuff that is identifiable in these chemtrails, what is also in there is nanotechnology. It's interesting what you mentioned earlier in the show, Alex, and I think this is one way they're putting nanotechnology into the atmosphere. I feel myself that the chemtrails and the HAARP system are completely connected. I mean, I think there's multi-reasons why the chemtrails are there, and there's multi-things in them to have multi-effects. But I think what they're trying to do is create a sub-reality around the Earth. A simple thing. How do you affect all the fish? You affect the sea. And the radio waves bouncing off the ionosphere from HAARP and the way they're changing the lower atmosphere, I think, are fundamentally connected. I've not connected everything there, but I'm sure that that's where the truth lies. And it's to do with creating a sub-reality in which they can feed in these thought forms and thought messages through the radio waves on the frequency of the human body computer receiver transmission frequencies. So they're feeding realities into us that way as well.
Well, we know that, I mean, I remember you talking about this over a decade ago, seeing government documents and patents, but I saw the Baltimore Sun like 7 years ago saying, oh, DARPA's going to put in U.S. cities towers with different wavelengths they found to calm people if there's ever an emergency. I mean, they are admitting they're doing this. This is not our opinion.
Yeah, and you know, in They Live, where at the end of the movie they find that there's a transmission from the top of the TV tower, which is making it impossible for the public to see the real controllers. I think that is also massively based on truth, because the body computer has a receiver transmitter frequency. If they can find technology, and of course they have, which can broadcast on that frequency, they're actually feeding information into the human mind. And of course, what do people think? They think it's their thoughts. And also, it can shut the human mind down, so it's not seeing certain frequencies on which certain things are happening, so that they're going on and we can't even see them, just as They Live kind of symbolized.
Well, David, I want to take a few final calls and let you go. We've taken enough of your time, but why did you wake up? Why did I wake up? Why do some people wake up and other people don't?
Well, I think that it's literally the depth of programming. You know, if you are surrounded by 6 foot of concrete, it's much more difficult to perceive what's outside. You know, if you've got an inch of concrete, then you might hear something. And what's happening is that the people are waking up and in accordance to how asleep they were. And what's happening now is people are waking up who further back down the line were very asleep, and that's very, very encouraging.
What about genetics? You're always saying that the elites are obsessed with genetics, and we know they are, because they want to focus the genetics for the type of predatory system they're into. Is it also genetics to be awake to this?
Well, consciousness can overpower the computer. What overpower the reality of the computer? What they're trying to do is put people so powerfully into computer reality through genetic manipulation. And of course, genetically modified food. He's only there for one reason: it's to genetically modify us.
Well, they admit it kills the animals they feed it to.
Yeah, so that the body computer becomes a less and less effective receiver transmitter of higher levels of information.